how do you stay eating those foods? And I think that's a big part that ties all this together is we've been doing this for so long. I've been doing this over 7 years. And like to me, there's not really another option because with everything you do comes a consequence and it's either positive or negative. So like for me, when I stay ketogenic, I feel good and I can think straight and I'm not like having this wobbly feeling, which for me freaks me out having epilepsy.
I want to live well past retirement. I want to enjoy retirement.
When I retire and I'm in my 60s, I want to be able to do trips with my family. I want to be able to go camping and do all these fun things.
Hiking.
Yeah, I cried the whole way home. The whole way home, I'm crying thinking like there's no hope. No hope whatsoever.
Welcome to the Hot Takes and Hard Truths podcast, where we believe in unfiltered health, healing with real food, and unapologetic freedom that can only be achieved through the salvation of Jesus Christ. Your hosts, Jen and Nora, are close friends who found each other online despite the constant noise within the healthy living social media space. Their passion for natural health and Jesus, and their penchant to lean into the hard topics of the day, led them to want to share their thoughts and ideas with others who are also in search for meaning and answers. Please welcome your hosts, Jen and Nora.
How are you doing?
Doing great so far today. I only worked a half day, so feeling pretty good.
Good.
Now I get to chat with you.
Yeah,
So.
I have an incredibly full day. So it's had a doctor's appointment today with a new functional doctor, trying to get some stuff worked out. You know, that last, when people are losing weight and they're like, I just can't get the last 10 pounds off. That's where I'm at with my health is like just these last few symptoms that I'm trying to figure out. And I'm like, you know what? I can do functional testing and stuff, but sometimes you got to go to somebody else who is on the outside and can ask questions that maybe you're not asking yourself. So,
Another perspective.
exactly.
100%.
I think you were the one that was telling me that, like an outside perspective. I don't know. Someone was.
Oh, yes, definitely.
Yeah,
If we're not figuring it out.
for sure. So we said today, this episode, we're going to just talk a little bit about my story, how I ended up here. And then episode 3 will be Nora's story. And then we'll dive into like other things after that, episode 4 and 5 and onward. So
We want to give you some background as to how we got here, how this whole podcast really, why is this podcast coming about?
exactly.
So all of our talking that we do off of this has led to this moment, and our stories have played the biggest role in that.
I love that you said that. 100%. It's not just like, this is bragging about my story. It's, you know, that's the relatability factor. It's how did we get here? You know, and like one of the most common questions, I don't know if you get this, Nora, tell me if you do. I think it was 2 weeks ago after church. They always have donuts after church, right? So we go over there, and I'll admit, Isaac will have a donut on Sundays, whatever. I might have a nibble of it because I want to. But this mom, we were talking about somehow we got on the topic of food. I think she was giving a recipe or something, and I was like, yeah, I don't really do those kind of things. I don't like to brag it or be like, oh, that's bad food. And she asked, oh, you do keto, don't you? And I said, yeah, I've been doing it. How long have you done it? Like 7 years on and off, like most of it on, but sometimes I might, and I'll talk about this more through this episode, like I'll incorporate fruits, potatoes, and things like that on occasion. But I still, if I have to put myself in a label, I'll still call myself ketogenic, low carb kind of thing. But her response, what I was trying to get at is, how do you do that? How do you stay eating those foods? And I think that's a big part that ties all this together is we've been doing this for so long. I've been doing this over 7 years. And like to me, there's not really another option because with everything you do comes a consequence and it's either positive or negative. Right?
Yes.
So like for me, when I stay ketogenic, I feel good and I can think straight and I'm not like having this wobbly feeling, which for me freaks me out having epilepsy because sometimes that wobbly feeling, I'm like, oh my gosh, is that a seizure coming on? And I haven't had seizures in 20 years, thank God. But it's still a very uncomfortable feeling. And certain, like now I can kind of jump in and out of it where I can have some potatoes or fruits strategically and I'm still good the next day. I'll be in lower ketosis, I'm not like strict therapeutic ketosis, and sometimes I'm kicked out, but I still feel okay because it's going in and out. Anyways, but yeah, it's
Because
like
it's not an all-day thing,
right.
everyday thing.
Yeah,
It's an occasional, and you know your body, and you don't want to go back to how you were
exactly.
mentally, physically.
Yeah, and I might be one of those random people that can moderate where I have a bite of my kid's donut and I don't feel like eating the whole box. Like, I know I'm not the majority on that, but that's not even what I'm really focusing on. She's like, "I make spaghetti for dinner." I'm like, "We just don't buy spaghetti." Like, you know what I mean? Like, we don't buy that stuff. And it's just, "How do you do it?" It's like, "Well, we just fruits, vegetables, rice." I don't eat rice. My kid and my husband have rice. Just real ingredients. We know how it affects us. It's interesting when people are like, "How do you do this for so long?" I want to be like, "How do you not smoke cigarettes for so long?" How do you not go gamble? How do you not like you just don't have that desire anymore or you never did? I don't know. Is that a weird analogy?
Because well, once you wake up to the effects of diet, what it leads to long term. I mean, I don't know about you, but I eat this way for now and for the future.
Yeah.
It's so I know what the standard American diet was going to lead to, and that's my big push. I want to live well past retirement. I want to enjoy retirement.
Yep.
And so
That's actually a good point. Like, I take care of my mom, and she's gonna be 68, somewhere in there.
so
She
our parents are the same. Okay.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
and I mean, granted, she has a lot against her because she's legally blind, hard of hearing, kind of thing. So, it's harder for her. She can't just get in a car and go to the gym or, whatever. But it kind of served her in a good way when she moved in with us because she couldn't just go to McDonald's and get what she wants. Like, she had to eat what we were eating, and it benefited
Yep.
her. It helped her, and she's doing a lot better. But I do see the effects of she has osteopenia, she has low muscle tone. You can tell with her brain it's difficult to think of words at times cognitively. And I'm not like bashing her or anything. She's just did the best with what she had. So when I see
Yes.
her, I'm like, when I retire and I'm in my 60s, I want to be able to do trips with my family. I want to be able to go camping and do all these fun things.
Hiking.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I agree with you 100%. It's not just for like in the moment. Like, some people will do keto, low carb, carnivore, paleo, whatever it is, and they start feeling better, but then they go back to the pizza and the junk food and they're like, "Oh, I gained my 50 pounds back," or "I just don't feel as good." It's like, well, it's not just a diet, it's a lifestyle. It's what we're supposed to
Lifestyle.
be eating. Now,
Yes.
the ratios you can play with if you stay low carb or if you have the potatoes, all those kind of things. People say, "Well, Jesus had bread. Why can't we have bread?" But it's totally different now.
It's not the same bread
It's not.
at all.
No, it's not.
Kinda like Europe.
Exactly. You go to Europe and like it's not going to affect you the same way you have American bread and dairy too. So, my story had that little like 10-minute introduction. I was diagnosed with epilepsy when I was 12. First doctor, and this is a little bit of awakening I'm coming up with. I might talk about it, I might not. First doctor, when I had my first seizure, he's like, "I don't think it's epilepsy." But my dad was like, whatever the doctor said, my mom can't remember. My dad wasn't convinced that doctor was right, and so wanted to get another opinion. So we went to another doctor, and doctor's like, "Yes, epilepsy, medication, blah blah blah," like all the conventional stuff. Which again, that was in 1995. So we didn't know much better. We didn't have the internet to Google search medical studies and
Social
stuff like
media.
that. Started on medication, then switched me to a new medication. And I was on that one, Depakote, valproic acid, for years, for a very long time. But every time I had a seizure, they would up the medication because I was growing. I was in my teens. So they're like, "Hey, you're growing, you need more." And at that time, that medication was deemed very safe. It was a very safe medication. Don't worry about it. But I kept gaining weight. And I had the same belly I still have now. I've had since I was like 14, 15 years old. Like, just Pictures of me in a two-piece bathing suit, I have this belly. So that started, but doctors never pointed it out. They weren't like, "Hey, you're gaining some weight. That's not usually healthy." Acne, like the cystic acne around my face, you can see it's a lot better. I do have makeup on today. I have no filter on this video, but cleared all that
Oh, you
up.
have glorious.
Thank you. I try to take care of it. Gut health, that's where it starts. Yeah, the acne, I had it all over my back too, back knee. I had puffy face, I had irregular periods, massively irregular, cramps, all kinds of stuff. And then I eventually was like 200 pounds. I was really overweight. Doctor's not saying a thing.
What age was this?
This was my senior year of high school. Yeah,
Okay.
I was quite the outsider, I'll tell you. Like, any of my old high school friends watching this. Just a lot of trauma going on during that time and family life as well. So it was a combination of all kinds of stuff going on. Fast forward through college, they switched me in college to a new medication because that one gave me pancreatitis. I was hospitalized for
Oh
a
my god.
week. Yeah, a week. I was in Ohio in college. On the drive to school, I was like, man, it's really bad pain. Went to the ER, sent me home. Went back the next day. They gave me painkillers. What's the most common one? I can't think of what
Totally
it's
drawing a
called,
blank.
but Percocet. They gave me Percocet. Yeah, and then 2 days later, I went back and they rushed me in. They're like, "Oh my gosh, your pancreas is about to, like, explode or something." They sedated me, so I don't even remember the week because I was under the whole time. No one called my parents. They didn't know what was going they just thought I was at college, like so it was the medication causing it, switched me to a new one. I had tons of seizures on that one. I'm in college eating crap food, right? Whatever the cafeteria gives. So it was a long journey with all the epilepsy stuff. I remember in college, once we had internet, looking up, I don't think it was Google, we just looked it up, natural remedies for epilepsy because I was tired.
Oh, wow.
I looked it up. This was like 2005, 2004. No, it was 2004. And ketogenic came up. I found
Mm.
ketogenic, but I could only find it in relation to children with epilepsy. I asked my neurologist about it anyways, and they said the same thing. It's just for children with epilepsy. It's too hard to stick to. It's not worth it. It's like, all right. So they added another medication on because I had more seizures.
That
And
was their answer.
yep,
More meds.
yes, it was instead of one medication, now I'm taking two. Now, for ketogenic, in case people don't realize, for epilepsy, if two or three medications fail, usually they would bring on ketogenic. I found this out later. So I was like on,
Wow.
I don't know, fifth, sixth medication at this point. So that was my last seizure, was in April of 2005 because they put me on buttloads of medication. But I was not feeling the greatest. Fast forward to like just life was happening, moving across the country to Arizona, all kinds of things. So I was seizure free, but I had anxiety, like severe anxiety, irritability. I'd flip out on people, and I thought it was just my personality. That's the thing that like really gets me irritated is I just thought that's who I was. I
Mm.
never connected it with being a side effect of the medication until much later when I started learning and educating myself. Let me look at the side effects of this. Suicidal ideation is the number one side effect of that medication.
Oh my gosh.
And
And they never told you about it, of course, and probably said you were crazy at the time and that it couldn't have been the medications that were preventing these seizures or attempting to.
you actually nail it because once I gave birth to my son, I didn't even think I was going to get pregnant because I also had PCOS. Once I gave birth to him, my hormones went berserk. If any of you have ever suffered from postpartum depression, like you know how it is. Like unless your spouse recognizes it, it doesn't get treated because I'm
Mm.
not going to tell him like I'm depressed. I don't, you know what I mean? So I know that I had it. And when I had my 6 week follow up, I told her, I told the doctor, I just feel down often. And I didn't know how else to describe it. I don't remember how I worded it, but she was just like, okay, that's normal. No,
Ugh.
I mean, legit, I I can't even say in words the things I felt here after having my son. I absolutely love him. I love him. I love him. I'm super blessed. But my mind was not in a good place during that time. It was so hard.
And you were still on these 2 anti-seizure medications
Yeah.
throughout your pregnancy.
Eating crap food. Like, I look back, I was not eating fats at all. I was having high carb, maybe some protein, like Nature Valley granola bars. I thought I was eating healthy with kashi bars and kashi cereal. Those
I
are like
remember
our
those, yep.
go-tos. Yeah, lots of that.
But unless you're woken up to the food, that's what you think is healthy.
Yeah,
That's what I thought was healthy.
if they put a tree on the front, it must be healthy.
Of
You
course.
know what I mean? Anything green. Oh, this is healthy. So I went to my neurologist because I got to this point of I couldn't drive. I was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, just crying a lot. I couldn't sleep. And with epilepsy, sleep is really important. So my neurologist, she was busy, like she was overflowing. I could never get an appointment with her. She's booked out 6 months. I'm like, every time the calendar opened, booked out. Okay, I'll see whoever I can see. So they gave me to someone else there. And this lady, so this is what you were saying about them just denying it. This lady says, "Oh, it sounds like you're really depressed." And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." She said, "You might want to go see a psychiatrist and get treated and they can get you some medication." I cried the whole way home. I was driving. My husband was with me. My son was with me because I couldn't drive. I would get panic attacks. So the whole way home,
More
I'm crying, thinking like, there's no hope, no hope whatsoever. And I believe at this point, see, like I said, I'm horrible with dates, but I believe at this point, I was doing low carb. I might have been close to ketogenic at this time. So I was starting to wake up already to all this stuff of like, something's not right. Some,
Now, do you remember why you even thought about going low carb? Was it because of what you had
oh,
read in college in 2005,
no,
with the ketogenic
I
diet?
think it was
Or
more just everybody knows Oreos aren't healthy for you. Everybody knows ice cream's not good for you, but they'll do it anyways because it's like whatever.
"But it tastes so good."
Yeah, it tastes good. Live in moderation, right? So I think it was just kind of that, you know what? I know these are junk food. Everybody knows we call them junk food. I was like, let's just get rid of the junk food. So I was
Okay.
naturally low carb technically by definition is under 150 to 100 grams of carbs. And if you get rid,
Wow.
yeah, so it's still a good amount, but it's low compared to standard American. So that's why I say I was low carb. I was still having potatoes and I think I was having rice on occasion. So it wasn't ketogenic strictly. Shortly after that, or maybe before, somewhere around there, my husband and I watched The Magic Pill on the Netflix documentary. Have you seen that one?
It's on my list to watch.
Yes. It's on YouTube now as well. But there was three people they followed. One of them was a girl with autism. I think one was with epilepsy. I don't remember. And then I forget. I can't remember all of them because it was so long ago. But I knew I had heard of ketogenic for epilepsy, and my husband actually has ulcerative colitis. So he was also in the middle of a big flare, and he was going to go vegan. He was going to start juicing. That was his thing because he's heard of like Gerson therapy, or I don't remember, whatever. He's heard of like them being healthy. So he was like, "Let's try this. Let's do this." Okay. With the limited knowledge we had, we were like, "All right, let's start listening to podcasts." We listened to, I think it was Leanne Vogel. It was anything ketogenic. We just typed in podcasts, ketogenic, and someone popped up. And we just
Wow.
really started listening and learning. And like one of the first mistakes I remember learning was we bought stevia and we just looked at the front. It said stevia. Okay. We were using it. And then we learned on an episode, don't buy stevia in the raw because it has maltodextrin. That's the majority of what it is. It's not stevia. Oh shoot, that's the one we're buying because it was $3, $2, whatever it was. So,
You see, I'm learning things because I didn't even know that.
oh yeah, I was on a client call
I don't
today.
use it.
And I was asking her, like, which stevia do you use? Because that's a common thing. People go to Walmart, they see this big bag, and they're like, oh, I get all this stevia.
The big green bag.
Yeah,
Yes. Yep.
yeah. So, yeah, just learning as we go. And I started losing weight. I started feeling better, sleeping better, but it wasn't quite there once I was doing ketogenic. So, I started doing ketogenic, and I was like, forget my neurologist. I'll figure this out. This is like a total God moment right here is I started learning how to read medical studies. And I went to PubMed
Wow.
and I was like, I really want to learn how to do this properly to heal my epilepsy. So I found a medical study with a doctor, I forget his first name, but Dr. Sirven, and he was based out of Mayo Clinic. So I looked up his name. Lo and behold, he's 20 minutes from me in Phoenix. And I'm like,
No.
I need this doctor because he did a study on ketogenic therapy on adults with epilepsy. I call up
Wow.
Mayo Clinic. He has a cancellation within a week. Usually he has a 6-month wait list. Oh my
What
God.
a God wink.
What a God wink. Totally. So I get in with him. I cried so much at that appointment because he was the most compassionate doctor I've ever met. So this is where Western meets conventional, right? Not all conventional is bad. There is a time and a place, and really good doctors, they're just far and few in between. He was the first doctor that looked at quality of life for me, where he
Wow.
saw, you're not driving. You're not having seizures though. You should be able to drive. You're not sleeping.
And didn't call you crazy.
No. He believed me. This is your medication doing this. He's the one that told me. You are on way too much medication. And he asked what my ketones were. They used to be like 2 to 3 at that time. I was pumping the ketones. He said, you can get off of one of these meds. And I sobbed with freedom, just like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, let's get you, and he gave me the titration thing and watch for these symptoms. And then the next medication, started lowering that one. Unfortunately, I only had those 2 appointments with him. He moved to Florida. Go figure.
Mm.
He knew it was coming. Yeah. So my new doctor, she's pretty good. She's accepting of it. She doesn't know too much about ketogenic. She's at least not telling me to stop. But I've gotten lower on the medications. I've lost over 80 pounds. Like, so many things. I sleep like a rock. Anxiety's gone. Cortisol's getting there. Not quite there. Yeah,
That might not be due to the medications.
yeah, it's probably a combination of a lot of things. Yeah, like everything got better. And as things improve, that's how I started waking up being like, what? We start learning side effects of seed oils, for example. Pretty much everybody's waking up to that now. Even the people that used to say seed oils are fine, now they're like, oh, yeah, there's some truth to this. Learning about the jabs, the shots, like what impact has that had on my life and on my son's life? Learning about the lines in the sky, like trying to find code words for these things. Um,
Making us sick nonstop.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually funny. Isaac, my son, will point them out now too. I've
What
brainwashed
does he
him.
call them?
He calls them what they're called. Yeah, yeah. He calls them
Love it.
now. Yeah, they're not.
Good mama.
They're not contrails. We'll just say that. And then he's like, "Oh, maybe that's why I don't feel good today. They're up in the sky, mom."
There is a lot of truth to that.
Oh, I'm teaching. This is the best part of homeschooling because I get to brainwash my own kids. I love it. It's
Now let's circle back to Isaac, and you
yeah,
just said, because I think this all ties into the food, you said you woke up to certain
yeah,
jabs with your son, so what happened there?
yeah. I'm glad you asked that.
If you don't mind me asking, if
No,
you wanna.
so I'm glad you asked that. So when I went ketogenic and my husband too, I forgot to mention that his colitis got better within 5 weeks, by the way. Like his flare up stopped, he
Wow.
stopped taking his medication, everything, he was good. And I can talk about his story in another episode too, because it does change as we go on. But with Isaac, we were still buying the goldfish for him. We were still buying the Cheez-Its and things like that. We weren't fully there. So I think it was right around he was 2 or 3 years old where I was like, huh, maybe I should give him real food too. And it's not really depriving him if he's living life to the fullest, right? Some people are like, oh, they're deprived if you don't give them junk food, Cheez Its and goldfish, whatever. So we started doing that, buying fruits and vegetables, and he still had the rice. Basically, single ingredient foods was what we started doing with him. He would come with me to Costco or whatever, and he'd point to the cool ones that look, that are attracting kids. And that's when I started educating him when he was 3. Like, he didn't have to know the ins and
Wow.
outs of it, but just saying that food isn't good for us. There's things to store cells that has bad ingredients for us, and then we get sick easier. Then you miss school. Well, he wasn't in school at that time, but you know, looking into the future, you might miss school, you'll be sick. You want to build strong muscles, you want to think well, just basic education to help them understand what does what. And when he was 3, so he was getting shots, but we were spreading them out because that was kind of how my husband and I negotiated. My husband was the one that was like, I'm not sure. I was the one that was like, I got all mine. It should be fine. So, and I was too scared. They scare you. They really do use scare tactics when you give birth, when you have your children. When I asked them, why does he need a Hep B at 24 hours? And then was it 2 months, 4 months, 6 months, like all of them or something?
There's a series, right?
Yeah, they give these scare tactics that they're going to catch it on the playground if there's a needle or something. That was the most common one. So I was worried because if I didn't do it, I would feel guilty. Now, he was good. He's always been an incredibly brilliant kid since he was like 18 months old. But when I wish I could remember which one it was. If I could, I wouldn't say here. He got some at 3, a few months after he had strep and had very powerful antibiotics because he's allergic to penicillin. So he had powerful antibiotics for strep. 3 months later, had one of the shots. And complete turnaround in emotional regulation. Massive meltdowns. I'm not talking about your typical 2 or 3-year-old tantrum. I'm talking about violence. I had bruises from this kid. Like,
Oh
I
my
could
gosh.
not calm him down no matter what happened. And I will confess, I'm not against these shots, but I'm for educated decisions. Like, I wish I knew potential side effects. I wish I knew that if my kid was sick and just had strep and his gut is a hot mess, that it's going to mess things up. And that it would
Yeah.
be better to wait longer, and heal the gut first. So that's where
Informed consent.
exactly. That's where I'm at. So we started really working on his diet, giving him healthy foods. I'll be honest, I don't think ketogenic helped, but I think clearing
Okay.
out the junk food is what helped the most. Like
Okay.
teaching him about red food dyes, for example, and helping
And
him.
that's a trigger for a lot of kids, right?
Yeah,
The red food dyes. I mean, people say that they can see within minutes their child changes with the dyes.
100%. And I could too. And I wasn't the mom that would say no all the time. If we were at a birthday party, if there was a chance to have something other than red food dye, I'd say maybe pick that one. But if he really wanted the one that had it, I would just say, hey, buddy, I just want you to pay attention to how you feel and
Smart.
how you're able to control your emotions afterwards. And without a doubt, every time when I let him have it, he couldn't control it. And then once he did calm down, we would reflect back. Did you see how you handled
Ah,
that? Did you see how you exploded? That's where the connection happened for him. So he's on his own now. Like, he knows when we go to it, he knows anything that's red, orange, or purple could have red food dye. And so he will
okay.
avoid it because he doesn't want to feel that way. And that's where we've gotten. I'll tell you, Nora, the one thing that is
Yes.
so hard that I will not go down is the mold rabbit hole. That's the only one. And I know you're going to
Which
talk,
I did.
yeah, and I know you're going to talk about that on the next episode with your situation,
Yes.
your
Yeah.
experience. I'm just too scared to go this. People will tell me, like, do you think you have mold stuff with like all these leftover things I have? I'm like, I refuse. I do not want to go down that one. If it is, I will just live the way I am for the rest of my life and I'll be fine. No, but really, in all seriousness, I know some people it's very chronic and very debilitating, so I know they have to. I'm not there.
Yes.
But that's kind of my journey where I've come, and
Now, a big part of you and your passion is your hormone coaching.
that's true.
So, did your ketogenic diet open your mind to hormones? Did your secondary infertility lead you for this passion of getting your license and
Yeah.
pursuing that career?
So at first it wasn't hormone focused. I think we met like once I was focusing more hormone stuff. At first, it was just insulin resistance, and that's all I was focusing on was blood sugar management. But I went into it because friends were seeing how much I lost weight and how much better I felt, and they were asking how to do it. And I was like, well, why don't I get trained in this I can do this from home while being a mom. So yeah, so that's what I did. I went through Primal Health Institute, and then I, like many health coaches, became an addict on learning. So then I learned functional blood chemistry, gut health, GI mapping, and then I jumped into
Oh,
more
that's
hormone
awesome.
stuff. I was already a fertility education awareness practitioner, so I focused and taught women, actually couples, symptothermal method, which is an NFP, natural family planning method. So I've been doing that since Isaac was 1. So that was before all the health stuff. And that's how I kind of
Wow.
pulled together the hormone part, because I learned how our cycles work, the ins and outs of it all. And then I'm learning health, and then I was putting 2 and 2 together. So yeah, so I started coaching just regular stuff. And then it's like, I really want to help women because my PCOS got better on this. Why don't I just focus in and hone in on that? And then as far as the secondary infertility, I did all the things that I need to do to optimize my hormones. The only thing left, and that's what I mean by this last 10 to 15%, is cortisol. I am very much a type A personality. It's very hard for me to just sit still and like live life. And it has
Yeah.
finally taken a severe toll on the cortisol. And if someone's cortisol and adrenals are not working optimally, they're not gonna, their body's saying it's not time to produce a baby right now. It's too stressful. So
Yeah.
it's combination of that and then combination of my husband's fertility as well. So I've gotten to the point where I'm just like, it's okay. I want to give a sense of safety to my body. And I'm like, it's okay that my body's not able to produce another child right now. And I'm going to respect that because it's telling me it's not safe and I don't want to produce a child if it's not safe. I think that's one of the first steps. And then I've been putting a boundary down with myself and just being like, I need time to just chill and
Yeah.
create healthy habits, healthy hobbies is what I mean. And yeah, so I do functional blood chemistry, functional work with women and hormones and insulin resistance and all that. And I love it.
You're constantly learning, you're constantly improving,
Yeah.
you're always taking courses. I'm taking one of your courses now. So we'll definitely have to do a podcast on that and the results.
Yes, for sure.
But
So
I'm in awe of all that you're doing just continuously. You're
yeah,
always searching to be better and yeah, but it's all your journey, your story.
yeah,
Crazy how the epilepsy just kind of has led to questioning and has led to a lot of true health
no, totally. I
in what I've seen.
It's funny because people, my mom says the same thing about me too. Oh, you are always learning so much. It's amazing. And I'm thinking, I need to stop learning. I need to, for real though, I need to just be. And how much I know can change so many lives already. And it's just this addiction of continually learning. And the course that I'm in now, I'm taking this doctor's course on histamine and MCAS. And
But that's for
that's
you.
for me. And I will be
That's
able.
different.
Yes, exactly. That's the only reason I justified taking it because it's for my own health, because I'm having histamine issues. And I'm like, okay, let me learn about what's going on with my body. But it's nothing extra. I don't have to take quizzes or do homework or any of that stuff. It's just showing up in the lives.
That's not adding to the cortisol.
No, it's not. In fact, I think it's helping, hopefully. So, yeah, so that's kind of, I know there's so much more I could talk about, but it'll come out in other episodes, but that's my journey. That's how I got here. Oh, yeah. The fact, I'm sure some people are like, but you said you're not ketogenic, but you are. Where are you? So 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I lose track. I did strict carnivore for a year and it was great at first. And I was the thinnest that I've ever been. But then I started gaining weight and my PMS got so bad. It was like 10 days long, um, and headaches and migraines and all kinds of stuff. So that's when I was trying to figure things out. Long story short, I started bringing some healthy single ingredient carbs back in, staying low carb. I'm talking your basic keto vegetables. And it started feeling better. I did gain a lot of weight at first, but then I was able to kind of to bring it back down, just adjusting and tweaking things. And that's where I'm at, is I will eat according to where I am in my cycle. I listen to my hormones. I've learned how to know what my hormones are saying. I've learned my satiety. I've learned my hunger. I know not to fast in my luteal phase, like things like that. And what foods support progesterone. So I'm doing that more. And that's why I won't put myself in a box, because I've just learned some days I can tell I need a freaking apple or I need an orange. And I don't
You've done this I'm sorry,
know.
you've done this long enough that you know your body, how it's going to
Yes,
respond, and you're able to, let's say, test the waters a little bit. And if that food doesn't agree with you, okay, you gave it a try, moving on. So
exactly.
what an awesome, what is that, food freedom?
Yeah, pretty
So
much.
you've reached a level of food freedom in your
I
life, and
have.
that's
Like, I know people will say sweet potatoes are amazing for progesterone, and I tried that, but sweet potatoes for me are my kryptonite. I can eat so much sweet potato. Like, I could probably down at least two sweet potatoes, which is not good for your blood
what?
sugar. So it's kind of those give and take things where if you're not insulin sensitive, yeah, you're not going to have the potatoes. We'll find other ways to balance your hormones. Um, but I know I have friends who they can do the sweet potato and be fine, but fruits is what they'll be triggered on, right? So it's all about figuring out what is your own trigger. What, you know, that's another thing we'll talk about, is the carb moderation versus abstainer. And yeah, because I have my own theory on that topic, honestly.
Yeah, I can do a couple slices of sweet potatoes, totally okay. You throw some fruits in there, besides berries, sets me off.
Interesting.
Ah!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Okay, cool. I
Another time.
yeah, I can see that. I really want to dive in on that because um, there are people that say they can't have any carbs because they can't moderate. And I tend to wonder about that with things like green beans, broccoli. You know what I mean? Technically, these vegetables have carbs in them. So I don't know. And we'll dive into another one on that one.
Yes. So as of right now, Jen Winkler, you are meat-based, allowing yourself certain foods. You have been able to get off of one epileptic medication,
More, yeah.
and you have reduced the dose of your other one.
Hmm.
And is your husband still following a meat-based?
Gosh, what would I call his? I would say just whole foods is his. He does a
Whole
lot of
foods?
potatoes and rice. Yeah.
Okay.
But he does have a good amount of protein. He prioritizes protein for sure. Yeah.
Awesome.
But he'll do fruits. Like when it's grape season, he'll have grapes. When it's berry season, he'll have berries.
Easily.
He does banana.
Nice.
Yeah. So but here's the thing you have to know about my husband. He's a land surveyor. So he works outdoors and he's been doing this for 20 something years. So he's very active. And when you are
Nice.
very active and you have muscle, like those carbs aren't going to make a big difference on your metabolic health. So, and Phoenix, when you're sweating outside a lot, carbs can be
Ugh.
helpful. So, yeah. So that's why I'm
Can't
like,
wait to experience that meat.
I think he eats a really good, healthy way for him. Um,
Awesome.
yeah. So that's what we do here, and I just call it the Jen Winkler diet for me because, and that's what I try to help my clients do, is figure out what's going to work for them.
Everybody's different. You can't put anyone in a box.
Nope, not at all.
Thank you for sharing your story and giving us a glimpse into your past and how you got here.
Yeah, awesome. And then thank you guys for tuning in. Be sure, if you haven't subscribed, by the way, I forgot to say this last time, subscribe to the channel. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, whatever platform, subscribe to it so you can get the next episodes. And then also leave a comment or a review. We want this podcast to be able to get up there in the charts.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.